Hello everybody, welcome to comics class. My name is Brandon Pallas and I'm here to teach you just about everything I know about drawing comics. Today we are continuing with our Simplified Anatomy series, and we're going to start in on the legs. This is legs part 1. We did upper arm and forearm for the arm, but I couldn't really find a way to break the legs down that broke down quite as easily, basically because there's a lot more going on in the upper leg than there is in the lower leg. So today we're going to deal with basically the butt and the front of the thigh and the knee a bit, and then we will deal with the back of the leg and the lower leg next time. And I think that should be a pretty good breakdown. I guess we'll see. We'll probably touch on some of the like hamstring stuff today just because it'll be in there. But we'll wait until next week to really get into it. But as for now, let's go ahead and do a little bit of warm-ups. So as usual, let's just start with some C curves. Let me get back where I can see Discord. Okay. Go one way, go the other way. Let's start varying the angle here. You can kind of sort of swish it back and forth as you're going. Now I'll do upward rather than down. I'm not as good with those. Like I'm always saying, it's good to get, as many kind of angles and directions as possible because you're gonna need to do it when you're drawing. You can always rotate your paper, you can always or your canvas if you're working digitally or whatever. And then digitally you can often just flip the canvas and get the right direction of line that you want, that you're comfortable doing, but you can't necessarily do that when working with traditional media, and it's always good to just train your hand better to begin with. So we're not going to spend too much time on these. I have a couple other things I want to do in the warm-ups today, but we'll just do a good little page of C curves. All right, that'll do. Now we'll do the same thing, but with some S curves. Start changing that angle. Some longer ones. Go the other direction. Just get our hands going, warming up. Who's that doing the Ren doing the radiating S curves? That's nice. It's crazy. Once we get into design principles, we're going to see how simple things like that are really useful for creating just nice looking patterns of line in your drawings. You can use those in your design when you're like actively designing a I don't know, like a character or a costume or a vehicle or something. All of that stuff will kind of come in handy. All right, well that's fine. We don't need to do a whole lot of this S curve stuff. What I want to do right now is I want to do a little bit more of this. Just go ahead and draw a slightly misshapen, blobby shape. Something somewhere between a wobbly circle and a wobbly square. Just do a bunch of those. And then we're going to just start wrapping rubber bands around this. Really try to feel the form, make it three-dimensional, make it kind of curve around the edges. A lot of this is, it's very subjective. You're just going to kind of like look at this and just try to feel sort of the thickness of it, and just bring that out with these lines. The leg, I mean, so this kind of goes for most of the anatomy in some way, but there are a lot of kind of long lines that swoop like around the thigh, and I feel like let's see, let's try some diagonal ones here rather than going just like vertical and horizontal lines. Let's try to just kind of change the angle of those lines. And really try to, I have a tendency to maybe like do something like this where it doesn't really curve at the edge if I'm not being careful. So I'm really trying to make sure these lines are curving around the edges to really give it a sense of depth. And now for a real challenge, I'm going to start putting some S curves on this thing. And it is tough. It's a little harder. You kind of gotta do a lot of this is tough. A lot of kind of mental 3D math here. Not math, but like figuring. But this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, that we're going to see these lines sort of swooping around. Just a few more regular ones here. Just finish these off. All right, that ought to do for that. And now what I want to do, we did this before, but I think this is a really valuable bit of practice, is draw, roughly an egg, just sort of a oval sort of shape. Wrap some lines around that to give it some form. There's different ways we can do this, but whatever works for you, just to make sure that you can feel the shape and the form of this. And then start writing some letters or maybe some numbers on the surface of this, so that they kind of follow the form that's suggested by these lines. And this could really be anything that we're drawing on here, but letters are, a variety of shapes and angles and lines that we all know pretty well. I'll just go ahead and try to get the whole alphabet on these three. Alrighty. And that's a good exercise that you can do anytime. I think it'll be pretty valuable for you guys. So that'll do it for warm-ups, and we'll go ahead and get straight into the anatomy of the legs, part 1. So I'm going to start, as I often do, with a basic full body mannequin. We'll just kind of run through the whole thing one more time. So center gesture line. We'll put the hip line right at the halfway point. Shoulder line 2/3 of the way up to the top. Head will be in that space up there, 2/3 of that space. Waist right in the middle, between the shoulders and hips. And then the knees be about halfway down. And then the rest of that space will be the lower leg. The hip line here is going to the greater trochanter of the thigh, which is the large knobby bit that sticks out where the top of the thigh, where the bone inserts into the pelvis. Arms. All right, all pretty basic stuff. We've seen this a bunch of times by now, but I just want to review so we understand how everything is fitting together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock this back and go in closer, and we're dealing with basically this area today. So I'm going to put that hip line back in. I'm going to put in that waistline. And then I'm going to put in about between a half and a third, maybe about a third. I'm going to put the line that indicates the top of the pelvic bone, the ilium. And put in this like groin area here. Right here is where the external obliques kind of stop, right at the top of that hip bone. And then we have this very important bony landmark, which is it's called the iliac spine, the anterior iliac spine. And it's just like if the pelvis is kind of, if this is a side view right here, okay? So like this is the back, this is the front, the spine, like this. We have the sacrum back here, and these kind of almost like a wheel of the pelvis. It's going to come toward the front, and then it kind of drops off right here in like a straight angle. And this is what's called the anterior superior iliac spine. And then down at the bottom of this angle is what's called the anterior inferior iliac spine. Those names are not super important, but this area is important because a lot of our musculature is all going to kind of come off of this, off of the top part and off of the bottom part, the superior and the inferior. And then also, as far as bony landmarks go, we've also got the greater trochanter of the thigh. The thigh bone, I don't know how to draw a great pelvis without reference, but it's going to be like something like this. These are these wide, like almost wings of the pelvis, and then there's a little socket joint here, and the femur, it sticks out, and then there's this knobby bit here, and then it goes down toward the knee. So the femur itself is kind of at an angle. It doesn't go straight down. It always it starts high up here, or wide, or at not wide, but sticking out to the side up here, and then it comes down toward the middle. But the musculature kind of comes this way, so it makes it look like it's straight up and down. In any case, okay. So I'm gonna kind of get a different color here. I'll ghost in the thigh bone, the femur. And this is going to come down here to the knee. The femur widens out a lot as it comes toward the knee. It's almost like there's a little cylinder at the bottom. So the length of the bone comes down here, and then it comes to like this little cylinder. And then there's another kind of, it's actually kind of like this. And then for the tibia, which is the large lower leg bone, it kind of has a sort of a reverse of this chunky sort of cylindrical structure, where it kind of sits on top, and then in here there's all these there's all this kind of like connective tissue and like padding and stuff to the knee. Inside the knee is very complicated. It's not really necessary to us right now. And then we've got the kneecap in front that sits right there, kind of in between. And the kneecap itself is almost like a rounded box. And then it's got a ligament that comes down and attaches to a little bony protuberance on the front of the tibia. But what we see when we look at the kneecap is we see this sort of squarish, sort of rounded area, and then this tendon here and this little lump there. So the whole thing comes out looking kind of like this. And then the whole area around the knee is not fleshy. These sides of the knee here are considered bony landmarks, as well as the kneecap, obviously. So they don't get fleshy. The flesh develops like around it. It comes out from here and it comes out from here, but there's always going to be kind of a, you can feel the bone on the inside and outside there. So with that little bit out of the way, I will go ahead and start putting in the muscles here. So let's see, where are we going to start? All right. So I'll block in the knee. Like I said, it's kind of just, it's a lot like just a rectangular box here. It's got the kneecap. It's got this ligament coming down here. We're not really going to deal with the calf muscles, but I'll throw that in a little bit. So starting with the iliac spine here, we've got the top part and the bottom part. Like I said, coming from the top, you know what, let me not do that first. Let me do first the quadriceps muscle, which is the probably the most famous muscle of the upper leg. It's called quadriceps, meaning 4 heads, but we only see 3 of them. There's the rectus femoris, which is the one that runs straight up the front. It attaches right here at the anterior inferior iliac spine. That's the bottom portion, the bottom like little point of this spine that is a bony landmark. That, that's the hip bone that that you can see on a person's body if they're relatively thin. But as with all the bony landmarks, whether you're thinner or whether you're heavier, it's always going to create surface structure there. So anyway, the rectus femoris runs down from there, straight down the front of the thigh. And there's a ligament that goes to the top of the knee right there. So there's one. We've got the vastus medialis, which means the big muscle, basically. That's medial, which means toward the middle of the body. And that's going to run down next to this, and it's going to kind of just kiss the top of the knee right there. It's going to just touch right there. And most people, most of the time, if you're not, at least if you're not flexing your leg, there's going to be a little fold right there. It's going to kind of hang over the top of the knee. On the other side, there's the vastus lateralis. That means the big muscle that's lateral toward the outside of the body. And this attaches alongside the femur there, and it runs down this side. Now, this one does not extend as far down. Like I said, this one comes all the way down to the top of the knee. This one's going to stop a little bit above, although we will see a little kind of leg, a little like tendony, ligamenty thing that's going to kind of come down to the side like that. But that's basically the quadriceps. I said there's 4 heads. We only did 3 here. That's because one of them, I don't remember the name because we don't deal with it, is underneath the vastus or the rectus femoris. Rectus means like vertical, like standing. So this is the vertical muscle of the femur. That's why it's called rectus femoris. So whatever that last 4th quadricep muscle is, we don't have to deal with it because we can't see it. So we've got these 3. We've got rectus femoris running up the middle, vastus medialis coming down on the inside and just like blooping right to the top of that knee. Whoops. And then we've got the vastus lateralis, which covers most of the outside of most of the like side of the leg, and that stops a little bit above the knee here. So those are the quadriceps muscles. Now we've also got, coming from the top portion here, the top bit of that iliac spine, we've got a muscle called I'm going to change my color here, a muscle called the sartorius that is a long, thin muscle that wraps around. This is kind of why I wanted to do those S-curves wrapping around the shapes, because it is just a perfect long S-curve that comes from up here, runs next to the rectus femoris to the inside of the vastus medialis and connects along the inside of the knee right there. Now, you won't actually see this muscle very much, except sometimes way up here where it connects. But it does separate kind of the front of the thigh from the adductors in here. The adductors attach to the center of the, like right under the crotch there, and they reach toward the bone and they pull the legs together. We're going to save those for next time, but I do want to show you that they're there. And that how there's this nice, the sartorius creates this nice border between the muscles of the front of the thigh and the muscles on the inner thigh. So there's the sartorius there. And then there's a weird muscle that most people have not heard of, called the tensor fascia lata. I'm just going to call it the TFL. It's this teardrop shaped muscle that comes from the top of that spine right there. And it goes to kind of right over here, right around where that greater trochanter is. And it's just like a teardrop. And it actually turns to tendon and connects with the iliotibial band, which I will also talk about in a minute, which is just the like thick bundle of connective tissue that runs down the outside of the leg. But yeah, mostly it's just this kind of teardrop shaped lump that comes down to the outside of this this rectus femoris. So we have the sartorius on this side, and we have the TFL on this side, both coming from the top, like this, of that spine. And then we have the rectus femoris connecting to the bottom of the spine there. So it kind of goes underneath. It's like these create this little, like, triangular kind of tunnel. And then the muscle, the rectus femoris, runs underneath it, which is kind of strange. You don't see that necessarily on most people, but when people are like lean and muscular, you will see it. We'll see that on some of the models that we deal with today. So there's that. There's the TFL. There's also the gluteus medius, which is, the gluteals are the butt muscles. And the gluteus medius is the one that runs from the crest of the ilium, of the pelvic bones there, down to the greater trochanter of the thigh. And it just kind of covers this whole side area. So let me draw a quick side view leg. Let's just, here's those external obliques. We've got like kind of the front of the abs and the front of the pelvis here. The pelvic crest is going to be here. Back here, we've got that little fat pad that exists on just about everybody. Here's the trochanter. The gluteus medius is going to kind of cover this whole area here. It's going to be like a little triangle that runs down to that greater trochanter there. And it starts to turn into a bunch of like thick fascia, connective tissue there. All of this stuff has a lot of thick, like white fascia material, because these are very powerful muscles. They need a lot of attachment to what they're attaching to, so they don't like rip right off the bone. And then I guess, let's see. I'll go ahead and start putting in the gluteus maximus. This is the most famous butt muscle. It's going to run, well, I'll do a back view in a second, but this is going to come, to the outside here. As for, let's see, I'll put the sort of knee bit in here. The hamstring will be back there. Like I said, we're not really going to talk about that today, but I do have to put something there. This is the vastus medialis, that big broad muscle on the outside. It covers a lot of the side of the leg, and like I said, it stops a little bit above the knee, but it is going to send like a little leg down. Here's that TFL that comes from the top of that iliac spine there, like a little teardrop. The rectus femoris is going to cut like right underneath there. We might see a little bit from the side of this this bit here, the vastus medialis, and then the knee and everything. So let's see that. We won't really see the sartorius from this angle. And like I said, we won't see it much at all for the most part, because it kind of blends in with all of this stuff. But we will see the top, the origin of it popping out sometimes on certain models. So let me do a back view real quick, and then we will move on to looking at some pictures. So let's just do a hip. That'll be the waist. Put some legs here. Here we'll do the sacrum. Little back dimples there. And this right here, this is where the iliac crest is. So we've got the gluteus medius kind of running along the side there to the greater trochanter of the thigh. And then we've got the gluteus maximus coming this way, and it loops across, and it kind of reaches down along the outside of the kind of right below that trochanter, and it kind of attaches to this whole iliotibial band, which is mostly along the outside of that vastus lateralis. And that's pretty much all the muscles we're going to be dealing with today. There are the hamstrings in here, but I'm not going to really go into detail on that. Let me do that in black so we can have it separate. But there is we got the gluteus maximus there. And one thing that's interesting about the gluteus maximus, you know what, let me go ahead and go to my ref. Okay. So, I started out talking about the gluteus maximus. So that's what we'll talk about right here. It's a little misleading, or it can be confusing when you look at pictures of it, because it goes on the wrong layer. Okay. Because it goes this way. So it makes us think that the muscle is going to bulge out like this. But what actually happens is this area like this is actually the thick part. And when it flexes, this is the part that really, look at this. This is just like that warm-up exercise, making the forms. This is the part that bulges out. And then all of this part over here, you don't see it on this picture, but I think it's mostly like fascia. And it gets thin here as it like wraps over. So this part here, it's like this, like a bean or something. And this is going to be the thick part, and then it gets thin over here. So just be aware of that. It looks like it's going to be a bean that goes this way, but that is going to lead you astray. The bean shape goes this way. And then we have the gluteus medius running out that way that will create some horizontal like thickness here, but it ends up with this, like, you're going to have a shape that's kind of like this, where it's going to be like bulging out on the side here, and then it's going to be bulging here, but not here. This is going to be not a hollow exactly, but it's not going to be like a bulging butt muscle. So that's the gluteus medius. Let's see. Some reason I got weird languages, not weird languages, but I got French over here. I got, I think this is Hebrew over here. Those were the free reference pictures I managed to find. Okay, so this is, here's that anterior superior iliac spine. We can't see the, if anybody has any questions so far, please feel free to speak up. But I'll just keep going. So here's that anterior superior iliac spine. We can see the sartorius running down and looping around that vastus medialis. We can also see the TFL here, the tensor fascia lata, coming down on the outside, and you can see how it turns to this like pencil thin but very strong bundle of fascia. But we won't really see that. Like, you can in some poses and stuff see the influence of this fascia. This also connects to the iliotibial band. But for our purposes, with the TFL, we're mostly going to just see this like muscular area. This is what's going to bulge up in some poses, and it connects on that side. So again, we have this little like a teepee sort of shape almost. And then the rectus femoris dives underneath, and it connects under. So there's this weird little sometimes you'll see this little like hollow, like a triangular cave almost. That's probably like the weirdest thing about the leg, about this part of the leg, is this the way all of this stuff kind of intersects. Okay, so we've got all of this business up here with these muscles coming off the anterior superior iliac spine. We've got the vastus medialis down here. We've got the vastus lateralis out here. And it looks like here, it looks like it connects all the way to the knee, but this stuff down here is going to be flat fascia. So the bulge of the muscle you're going to see stop about right there. And then you'll see a little like leg kind of come down here. Here's another example: sartorius, TFL, rectus femoris diving underneath right there as it, you know, connects up here. Vastus lateralis, vastus medialis in here. You can see how it kind of comes right down on top of the knee, whereas this is gonna, the bulging like muscular area is gonna kind of end up around there. And then we see this, you know, kind of round, kind of squarish kneecap, the tendon. This is a very thick tendon. You know, obviously, you're always going to see the stronger the muscle, the thicker the tendon is going to be, because it just needs to be a thicker, more massive tendons and ligaments and stuff to be able to effectively transfer that force from the muscle without like ripping off the bone, like I said. So here's that little knob, little protuberance on the front of the tibia that this kneecap tendon connects to. And here's that little side tendon bit coming down from the vastus lateralis and the IT band. Here's that sort of squarish kneecap area. Notice how, you know, there's all this bulge up here, there's all this bulge down here, but it's just kind of like flat, like ligament and bone in here. So just try to keep that in mind. And then we probably don't really need to go through this. This is all the same thing again. You can see the, I'm not going to go through that. We already did that. All right, so let's start looking at some models. I found a lot more female models today than male models that were appropriate. I think it might just be that that they tend to have skimpier clothing on the female models, so we can see the stuff that we need to see. Okay, here is the anterior superior iliac spine. Here's the top, here's the bottom. We don't really see it, but we kind of know that the sartorius is looping around here to the inside of the knee. And then we can kind of see a little the TFL coming down right here. Over here is going to be the gluteus medius. Here we would have the rectus femoris shooting up underneath those two muscles, the sartorius and the TFL. It's going to come straight down the front. Going to be a ligament connecting it to the kneecap. Vastus lateralis on this side. Vastus medialis on this side. And that ought to about cover it for that. We'll skip that leg because we're not really dealing with the inside and front here. Okay, over here, let's see. You can actually look at her kind of clothing here. You can see this angle where that shows us where the iliac spine is, because that's where it, you know, it's like a sharp turn. So we can see, I think we're seeing some of the influence of the TFL right here. We obviously can't see the sartorius because that goes to the inside. Gluteus medius here. Gluteus maximus is going to be coming around the corner a little bit. We've got the vastus lateralis here. Let me see. Okay, kneecap, ligament coming down, kneecap here. Vastus lateralis is going to kind of come down the side here. Rectus femoris. We can't really see the definition of the muscle, but I'm just going to kind of go through and we can kind of puzzle out what's there. Here you can see the vastus medialis coming down real low to the inside there. We can see the kind of, look at this, just straight lines almost of the actual knee area, because it's all just like bones and ligaments there. There's no actual like fleshy muscular bits. And if you guys have questions, as always, feel free to speak up or post them in the comics class chat. Let's see. Okay, another one. This model's good because she's got a lot of muscular development. We can really see what's going on in this area with the iliac spine. So here we can see that external oblique really clearly. We know that the iliac spine, let's see, I guess it's in there somewhere. Right there, you can really see the TFL. Look at that lump. That's what that is. That's the TFL coming off here. It turns into that long, thin ligament there, but we see this bulge. Here's the gluteus medius coming off the side. Let's see. This leg is kind of turned out. So let's see. The sartorius would kind of run down like this. We can't really see it. Like I said, you don't actually see the sartorius itself much. Maybe if somebody's really lean and they're like flexing their leg a certain way. Here's the adductors. Vastus medialis. And I mentioned how we're going to see a little bloop where it kind of droops over the knee. This woman is, she's very muscular. She's pretty lean. But even so, there's this little droop over the knee anytime the leg is not like actively flexed. So knee. Here's the rectus femoris. And then it's hard to separate that from the vastus lateralis. I think we see the edge of the lateralis there, and you can see how it stops up high compared to the medialis that droops low, like over the knee. On this side, okay, let's see. Here, I feel like we can see this this hollow here. I talked about that like up here. You get this little hollow where the rectus femoris dives underneath those the TFL and the sartorius. So you can see a little bit of that here. Rectus femoris, sartorius is going to go this way. We've got that vastus medialis. You can, again, you see a little bulge of the gluteus medius. You can see this bulge here of the TFL. And the TFL is one of those things that, like, most people are not ever going to notice if you don't put it in. Most people don't know it exists. When I took the anatomy course that I took, the instructor basically said, if you know what this is, you don't even need this class. Which I'm sure isn't strictly true, but it's not a well-known muscle. But it does create some interesting form. And if you do find yourself having to draw this part of the body here, it's important to know, how it connects with the iliac spine and all of that. And with the rectus femoris and with the sartorius and everything. Okay. On the outside here, we have the vastus lateralis and, the knee again. Adductors in there. Again, we're not really dealing with that today, but they're there, so we can look at them. All right, let's see. Here, I I do believe that we are seeing some of the bulge of the TFL there, and we're seeing the gluteus medius. This here, get rid of some of this. Right here is the greater trochanter of the thigh. This is where the bony landmark is, where the thigh sticks out, and the gluteus medius just runs from that iliac crest down to that greater trochanter. We have the vastus lateralis here. You don't see much definition on this model, but we'll put it in. We got the rectus femoris. You can see a little of the gluteus maximus coming around the corner here. And then back here would be the hamstrings. Deal with that next time. Here we can see the gluteus, or the vastus medialis coming low along the inside of that knee. The sartorius would be kind of wrapping around, connecting here somewhere. That's probably enough on that one. Let's see. Here we have a little bit of a heavier model, and we can't see a lot of definition here, but I wanted to point out in here is where the iliac spine is going to be, and I just wanted to point out how we're always going to have like kind of a flat area here. We don't see the muscles coming out, but we do see, you know, this, there is this this bony landmark here. Gluteus medius, fat pad here. All right. Okay, so now we got a big buff dude. Let's see. Let me go ahead and put in some of these, some of this mannequin stuff. Let's see. The sacrum is probably going to be about there. We're going to have the iliac crest here. There you can see the TFL. Look at that. There's this right there that comes to about there. I think what you see here is the influence of the actual iliotibial band tendon, which covers. So there's the vastus lateralis, and it is vast, as you can see. Covers most of the outside of the leg, but the iliotibial band itself, let me see if it shows in any of these. It doesn't look like it really shows in any of these reference pictures I got, but it only covers, I think, the front half of the. I'm going to try to Google image search real quick, just to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so it's just this like thick strap of fascia that kind of runs down more over the, kind of down the middle actually of this vastus lateralis, but I believe that's what we're seeing right here is the influence of that that tendon. Alrighty. And then, okay, here's an example of the gluteus medius kind of bulging out up here, but then the gluteus maximus, even though it wraps around to here, like this is the thick part. So we can see how there's a bulge here, and then it gets like thinner over here. It doesn't bulge way out like this. Let's see. Okay, this same model. Got to figure where the iliac spine is. Sartorius coming down from there. Rectus femoris going up there. TFL, we don't really see there. I think we might see it on that side. Okay. Vastus medialis coming down almost a little bit alongside the knee. Vastus lateralis there, a little higher. Gluteus medius there. And then over here, same thing. Rectus femoris. Vastus lateralis coming high, ending, high on the outside. That's super important. When you draw it, it's going to be like this. inside is going to be low, outside is going to be high. Hope that makes sense. Let's see. What do we got here? Okay. You can see the iliac spine. You can see she's got a little bit of a bulge to her tummy here, but we can see on either side of it, we know that's where the iliac spine is. Sartorius would be wrapping around here. We would have the vastus lateralis, rectus femoris. I'm drawing really badly on this one. I don't really see evidence of the TFL, but we know it's there. Gluteus medius. I think here, this is a little bit of TFL, right? Because here's the rectus femoris, and it would be kind of diving under. So that little bit we see here, that's the TFL. In there, that's the adductors, that's the hamstrings. Alrighty, let's see what else we got. Now this one is a good example of that gluteus medius being wide out to the side of the hip, and then the gluteus maximus being kind of bulging this way. You can really see right here, you know, it's not a big bulge out like this. There's this kind of hollow right there as the gluteus medius goes out this way. And then the gluteus maximus, despite wrapping around to the outside of that like IT band and stuff, it gets flat in this area, but it bulges in this area. Let's see. Okay, here we have a very pronounced iliac spine. TFL, a little bit right there. Vastus lateralis, gluteus medius, or maximus wrapping around. We don't see much of the gluteus medius, but we know it's in there, coming to the greater trochanter of the thigh. Rectus femoris right there. We don't see the vastus medialis from that side. In here we can see, we don't see much definition again, but we do see the like low, like coming down to the side of the knee, the vastus medialis, and we know it would be running up this way, rectus femoris, etc. Let's see. Okay, I don't know if that one, we need to do anything with that one. Here's another one of this very muscular woman here. We know the iliac spine is in here. Rectus femoris, we know the sartorius is running along this side. It kind of outlines the vastus lateralis, or vastus medialis, that comes down along the kneecap here. Vastus lateralis there, ending high. Can we see the TFL? I feel like we might see it a little bit there. Gluteus medius there. Alrighty, let's see. That's most of this set. I have a second set of references here, and we're definitely not going to get through all of these. Whoops. I left that one naked. Hopefully YouTube doesn't see it. Okay. Check out this guy here. Very clear. These are bodybuilders here, so we can really see. You know, look at that external oblique coming down here. We know that means that's where the iliac spine is. We can see some clear definition here of the TFL coming down. We know the gluteus medius would be coming down to, I think I can see a little bit of a hint of shadow there, indicating that's where the greater trochanter is. Gluteus maximus coming down here, looping around. It connects up to this whole bundle on the side, which is like the vastus lateralis and the iliotibial band, which ends up kind of going like this and then down to the side of the knee. Vastus lateralis, hamstrings back there, rectus femoris kind of diving up underneath that TFL and the sartorius, which we don't see. Let's see. This is almost the same pose here. So we don't need to go too deep on it, but you can see this bit of the, this is the outside of the leg, so that's the vastus lateralis, and you can see actually pretty clearly here how it's it ends above the knee, and there's that little leg of like a tendon. I guess that's the IT band itself, really. Going down to the side of the knee, we've got the whole vastus lateralis here, gluteus maximus coming down here. This stuff up here we don't really see, but you know, we know it would be gluteus medius here, gluteus maximus here. Again, flat-ish in this area, and then bulging in this area. Let's see. Okay, this is cool because here we see evidence of the bulge of that greater trochanter, that bony landmark. We can see the TFL here. We have the gluteus medius coming here, the maximus wrapping around. We can see that vastus lateralis ending up here. This is really a huge muscle. I mean, technically the quadriceps is all one muscle, but it really presents as like three separate masses of muscle. And this vastus lateralis is just this gigantic slab of muscle on the side of the leg there. We can see a little bit of the vastus medialis on the other side, stretching down to the inside of the knee. Just like that here. Alrighty, let's see. Here we can see more of this. Here's the external obliques. We know the spine of the iliac spine is here. We got gluteus medius wrapping around, gluteus maximus wrapping around. Don't really see the influence of the TFL, but we know it's there somewhere. Rectus femoris. You can see, like right in this area, you can really see like a bulge of the rectus femoris. We've got the vastus lateralis on that side. Vastus medialis just kind of covers that inside corner of the knee. You can see that on this side as well. What else? What else? Okay. Here's a really clear rectus femoris. Here's a really clear... His leg is really flexed here because he's standing on one leg with his knee slightly bent, so that means all of his quadriceps muscles are firing here. We can really see that vastus medialis there, and we can really see, look at this right here, this little tendinous bit on the outside there. And then right here, I believe what we're seeing is the influence of the iliotibial band. So this whole side is one muscle, but we're getting some detail because the iliotibial band kind of like cuts into the muscle and squishes it down a little bit. We know the TFL is over here somewhere. Let's see. Here's a good example of the TFL. Look at that here. Greater trochanter of the thigh right there. The gluteus medius is going to be running down to that. TFL bulging. What it kind of does is it lifts the leg up and out. So she's bringing her leg up very strongly here. That muscle is going to be activating. We've got the gluteus maximus coming around this way. We're going to have the vastus lateralis here, rectus femoris, all of that stuff that we've already done so many times. Let me just see, look around here and see what we've got that really gives us something that we haven't seen or we haven't seen much. All right, this guy's a super ripped bodybuilder. We can see every little detail here. I don't even know what's going on right there. I think that is the gluteus medius, and then there's a real hollow here because he has no fat. So, you know, I've been talking about how we see the bulge of the gluteus here, and how it gets kind of flat as it comes around the side. So I believe that's what we're seeing here. He has like no fat on him, so the bulge of his gluteus maximus is all like hidden in the back, and we get this weird hollow here. But anyway, little bit of TFL we can see there. Vastus lateralis, the greatest color for this. Vastus lateralis here, you can, this is a perfect example of how it ends right there, and then there's that thick tendon, that like leg that comes down on the outside. Here's the vastus medialis, kind of going a little bit over the inside of that knee. Alrighty. I think we actually can see the sartorius on this guy a little bit. There's the vastus medialis. And then I think some of this, I think we're seeing the sartorius here. But like I said, I mean, you're not going to see that on people unless they're like extremely lean and muscular. Alrighty. Feel like there's a little bit of TFL showing here. Gluteus medius would be kind of looping down to the trochanter. Maximus coming around here. Yeah, so this is, we see the vastus lateralis with a little bit of that IT band kind of cutting into it and creating some shape there. Let's see, here's another, we can see the TFL there, gluteus medius right there, gluteus maximus coming around this way, vastus lateralis. Some of this back here is hamstrings, rectus femoris coming down to the top of that knee, a little bit of that vastus medialis in there. Let's take a look here, because this is a pretty good example, I feel, of the way the gluteus maximus, really the bulging part of it is all to the inside, really. So here she's got this prominent hip bone sticking out. Try a different color for this. This prominent hip bone. Feel like we can see a little bit of TFL there. We're going to have the gluteus medius running to the greater trochanter there. And then the gluteus maximus Like it'll come around here, but she's really flexing right here, and you can see this big bulge is all kind of to the inside here. And it's almost like a hollow out here. And then, just these same muscles we've been going over: vastus lateralis, tendon, IT band that connects to the knee, rectus femoris. So, let's see. Yeah, that's probably about time. Let's see. Let's do one more here. Well, let me just what I'll do is I'll do one last one where I'll kind of draw out the mannequin. This guy's got kind of loose undies here. We can't really see that much detail, but we'll just kind of make it up with what we know. So here it's going to be the anterior superior iliac spine. It's going to kind of come right underneath the rectus, or not rectus abdominis, the external obliques. This is the greater trochanter of the thigh. So we know that the TFL is going to come off the top portion of that iliac spine. The sartorius is going to wrap around. We're not really going to see it, but it is going to create that internal border like this, where the adductors are separated from the front of the leg. We've got the gluteus medius here, covering that whole outside and just running straight to the greater trochanter there. We've got the gluteus maximus stretching around here. All of this stuff kind of coming and connecting to the IT band. Vastus lateralis, huge muscle covering the whole outside of the leg. Turning to a tendon down here, attaching along the side of the knee. We've got the rectus femoris here. That also is going to turn to tendon here and reach out to the knee. We've got that the kneecap, which is kind of like a rounded block. The tendon coming down to that protuberance on the front of the tibia. And then on the inside, we've got that vastus medialis reaching down right alongside the knee. Whereas that vastus lateralis ends a little higher, and it shoots that IT band tendon down to the side of the knee. So I'm going to do one more, just a simple drawing, and let's see. This will be the hip line. This will be the waist. So greater trochanters of the thigh right there. This will be the where the external obliques hit. We got this groin area here kind of separated, the edges defined by that iliac spine. Drop this femur down here. And from there we can start building the mass. So top of the iliac spine, we know we've got the TFL coming out here. We know we've got the sartorius coming around here. I'll drop in those adductors. Kneecap. We know that the vastus medialis kind of droops over the inside edge of the kneecap a little bit. We've got that rectus femoris that shoots up underneath in between the sartorius and the TFL. It turns to tendon down here and reaches out to the knee there. We've got the gluteus medius coming off, like filling up that side part of the iliac crest and reaching down to the greater trochanter of the thigh. From there, we've got the vastus lateralis, which bulges out real big and kind of ends a little bit high. It shoots this IT band tendon down to the side of the knee. And then I'll just do one back or sort of side back view. Get one more kind of look at the buttocks there. So here we've got there's the waist. Here's the line of the top of the pelvis. We've got the sacrum there. We would have the kind of external obliques, usually a little fat pad there, but some people are extremely lean and we actually see like a little bit of a hollow there. Here's the greater trochanter of the thigh. There's the femur coming down. So we're going to see kind of from this whole side area, the gluteus medius reaching down to that greater trochanter. And then we're going to see the gluteus maximus, which loops out this way, but again, it's like a bean. The bulge is all in here. And then it gets flat as it kind of wraps around. We're going to have the vastus lateralis all on the outside there. It would actually be a little more on the side. I'm kind of putting it on the back. And then in here we would have the hamstrings. Again, we're not going over that this week exactly, but we got to put something there. Yeah, well, not the greatest drawing, but it should, let's go ahead and put the other leg in. Here, there's the bulge of the gluteus medius on the outside, and then the kind of bulge to the inside of the gluteus maximus. It's going to wrap around the outside, and then we might see a little bit of the vastus lateralis here, but it's going to be all hamstrings and back of the leg there, so we're not really going to deal with that. Anyway, that should be it. Oh, hold on one second. I got something in the comics class chat. Oh, okay. Just someone saying thank you. It looks like you left. Okay. So yeah, that'll be about it for class. We'll next week we'll do the rest of the leg. I'm sure we'll do a little bit of review because a lot of this stuff all interconnects in a way that's hard to separate entirely. Homework will be, as always, just give me 10 legs with the parts that we dealt with. You don't have to put in the hamstrings and stuff. We'll deal with that later. But just, yeah, build the mannequin. You don't have to do the whole mannequin, just the parts that are relevant to this upper leg part that we dealt with today. But show me all of these muscles and where they connect and all that. I will put some details in the homework channel. And I guess that will be it. So thank you guys very much. And yep. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.